Welcome to a Blood and Pigment ship review. We're here talking about the Sloop today. I'm Joseph, and I am joined by...
Guy Ruark.
I'm excited for this review. The Sloop is probably one of my favorite ships in the Blood and Plunder line.
The Sloop is one of the first ships released and is probably one of the best. It's a classic pirate vessel.
Yeah, it is. It looks like a pirate ship, doesn't it?
It does. With that fore and aft sails, it really actually reminds me a lot of the schooners of the golden age of piracy.
All right. We're going to try to keep things moving this time and kind of walk through the stats and abilities on the ship and then give our opinion, which we kind of already spoiled here at the end. So, the Sloop is a 14-point ship, so it's lower than most of them, but not as cheap as a Bark or a Tartana.
The Sloop's max speed is 4 inches. It has a sail setting for 4 inches, 2 inches, and 0 inches, along with an anchor setting. Its windward value is 0, and the Sloop has a turn value of 4 inches.
The ship's hull fortitude is 4, and its hull integrity is 5. It takes 15 hits to reduce the Sloop down to 1 fortitude. The ship's rigging has fortitude of 3 and integrity of 4. This ship's draft is only a 5.
The Sloop is a 2-deck ship. It has a large main deck that holds 27 models. The smaller poop deck can hold a respectable 16 models.
The main deck can be armed with 6 light cannons or 6 medium cannons, 3 pairs. It can also have 2 swivel guns in the front. The poop deck can be armed with 4 swivel guns in the back.
This ship has 3 special rules: sweeps 2, simple rig, and fore and aft rig, all relating to sail or movement.
The 2 upgrades available are shallow draft for 3 points and a topsail for 2 points. The Sloop has a number of strengths. I like the speed and maneuverability of this ship.
It also, as I said, looks great. And I believe it might also be the best ship at 200 points in 200-point games.
That's another one of the great things about it. It's very flexible. You and I just played a game a couple weeks ago at 100 points, and it served really well, but it can also dominate at a 200-point level, and I've seen it taken above that as well.
Yeah, our club has our 350-point ship battle challenge, and I've used Lorho de Graaf at 350 points in a sloop and won against a fully armed light frigate before.
Wow, I would like to put up some cannons against that, but if you get enough muskets in there and just sweep the enemy decks, I guess you could do it. Muskets or swivels.
You can, and it's also probably because this is the best ship to attack with and be windward with. So you can use both sides, your guns on both sides. Against faster ships like the light frigate, you can turn windward and attack reliably and make them come to you at a slower speed.
Yeah, you can really keep control of the whole battlefield if you just stay up, and if you just run away when you want to, or come down on them when you want to. And like you said, you can flip across the wind in pretty much 2 turns, shoot and then turn again and shoot again. In most cases, possibly shooting both broadsides.
It feels really rewarding when you can do that in a game too.
Yeah. I really like the swivel combination. 2 in the front is a little lackluster compared to if you have 4, but the 4 in the back make this kind of a good ship for defending. If you want to flee, if somebody's chasing you, not only can you go 4 inches upwind all the time, pretty much, but you can also just pepper them with unlimited swivel dice from the back. It's not very... I've chased this ship many times because you played it maybe too much.
I did.
Yeah, 12 dice to the face every time. It hurts, especially with my natives trying to paddle in their 3-inch moving canoes.
Oh, it is that those 12 swivel dice is a game changer when you can get some hits, especially if you're under 8 inches. It is deadly. It's kind of a enough about the strengths of the sloop. Let's talk about the weaknesses, Joseph.
What weaknesses? It has
Well, yeah, it does. I don't like that I can only fit 16 models on the poop deck.
That is pretty small. The front deck you can fit a lot in. How many does that fit? 27?
27 or 31 if you don't have cannons.
Wow. So you could put 350 on there. Yeah, I've been frustrated with that before. If you want to man those full four swivels, you want to have at least 10 models there, and then it doesn't leave much room for anything else. More likely 12 to man those swivels if you want to keep them in action the whole time.
And that means you can only fit 4 units on this ship, which
Right.
or no, 3 units. I mean, with one in the back and two on the main deck, which isn't a lot. It means you only get one support unit.
Right. So if you can fit four, it's nice, but if you fully man those swivels in the back, more likely you're only going to do three, which does put some limitations on it, especially towards the higher point value battles.
And with the 12 dice from 4 swivels, you should be manning those 4 swivels too. So
Yeah.
it's kind of, you always have to do that.
You could potentially split them 8 models on two, 8 models on two, but then you kind of reduce that big heavy punch.
Yeah, we've both tried splitting up swivels like that, and usually it doesn't do well because you have both you when the deck is attacked, you have both units say rolling saves, both units rolling fatigue checks, and taking it seems taking more fatigue than it would if it was just one unit.
Right. It does kind of multiply the fatigue just by having 2 units. The other weakness that's bit me in the rear before is the one mast. If you're sailing along merrily with one mast and it gets hit with a critical, then you have no mast. You're instead of running 4 inches against the wind merrily this way and that, you are dead in the water, and there's no fixing it.
And that's compounded by the sloop's rigging is actually one of the weakest in the game, with it being a 3 and a 4 integrity.
So
Uh,
8 hits on it, and it's gone.
yeah,
4 hits, and you have a critical damage. I don't see that as a very dominant strategy in C games, but maybe that's a good way to take down an annoying sloop.
especially if you're playing the French or another faction that specializes in going after rigging.
There
Um,
are a couple factions that let you re-roll a rigging criticals, aren't there? French?
yeah, the French Navy, which is a pretty dominant faction. The only problem with going after rigging is it's usually you only get 1 hit on the deck for every 2 hits to the rigging, so it doesn't reduce a lot of models, or it doesn't kill a lot of models. But it can, especially if you're up against a sloop, make it so it's dead in the water by compounding critical rigging damage.
If you can make it dead in the water, you can avoid those broadsides, and you're still going to have to deal with the swivels, but you could make your life a lot easier.
The sloop also is not my choice if I wanted to make a dedicated boarding ship. It only has 2 swivels in the front, which means if you're sailing directly at the opponent's ship, you're only going to have those 2 swivels to soften up where you plan to board. And not only that, but it only goes 4 inches, which means that if you're up against a faster ship and they realize what you're trying to do, they can outpace you in a race.
But only if you have one of the two frigates with 5 or one of the privateer vessels and going downwind. Sloop with that 4 turn and 4 upwind. I guess the Tartana has the same set of stats there, but it's not the very fastest, but
No.
it usually does the job for me. I've used it for a boarding ship.
Mhm.
You can still use those 4 swivels in the back. You just might be at 5 inches rather than 3 before you board.
Which is completely okay. It is a lot of fun to uh, get close with a sloop and then swing the back out for that 12 swivel dice. It is so deadly.
How do you like the set of 3 cannons on one deck?
I think 3 cannons on one deck is the best configuration of cannons in Blood and Plunder.
I
Four
agree.
cannons is too many. Two is too few. 3 means that it takes 9 models to arm medium guns, which means that you probably want to take 11 models or 12 to account for casualties, especially because the guns are so devastating. And it lets you use commanders that don't have broadside to get your full impact of your
Right.
cannons.
Yeah, when I've been playing the Brigantine, which has or even the Flute that has sets of 2 cannons, 2 decks with 2 cannons, this one deck of 3 cannons seems to actually hit harder and do more damage over the course of a game than 2 decks with 2 cannons. Or maybe it's just psychological. I'm not sure, but I really like 3 cannons altogether. Only
Yeah,
issue is at 100 points, it's hard to man that, but you probably aren't going to take a full set of 3 cannons anyway. But your unit size being limited to 8 can make it difficult to fully man 3 guns.
and with light cannons at 100 points, even with 3, you're looking at 21 points to buy 3 light cannon sets. Going to be another 30 points to arm them. That's half your list tied up in probably in 8 models.
Plus your ship, you're at like 60. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually not a good idea at 100 points. At 200 points though, it is very easy to take the sloop with 6 medium guns. In fact, that is one of the best things about the sloop is you can fully arm it with medium cannons and swivels for 68 points
Then you still got 120, 132 points left for
for
crew. That's
all the
good.
models. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that lets you also another tactic with the sloop is to buy the front swivels and have the cannon gun crew man the swivels as well. So you shoot your cannons when you're over 16 inches away, over 12 inches away, and keep your swivels for when they get close to do extra damage. Because you can fire cannons and swivels at the same time.
Right, both being artillery. You also could throw grape shot in those guns, and like you were mentioning, not having enough boarding firepower in the front deck there. If you're playing pirates or some sort of unaligned that has free grape shot, you could do all grape shot or just buy the grape shot. Doing 3 medium guns with grape shot plus your swivel guns, how many dice is that? That's a lot. That's
That would be 18 dice, Joseph. 18, 18
12,
dice.
18
Uh,
dice.
yeah, six six would be hitting
And
on six
12 at 4. That will
and
that will
12
kill
at
people.
4. Yeah, that will. That has when I've used a grape shot, I've always kept it for when I was under 5 inches away, and it is a deck clear. Uh, it's a lot of fun. So, do you have any final thoughts about the sloop, Joseph?
I think it's an excellent ship, and I think you should buy it. I think it's a great first ship to buy because you can play it at pretty much almost any point level. It's a fairly easy ship to build. It's not too expensive. I think it's $60, which
It should be the first ship anybody buys, even though it is $60, which is $20 more than the bark. It will be a ship that you will play in a variety of games, and the whole time you play Blood and Plunder. That and it looks great on a shelf.
indeed it does. This has been a Blood and Pigment ship review. I hope it's been helpful. Please head over to the blog, bloodandpigment.com, and you can see I have an article looking at the sloop in a little more detail. You can read there and articles on all the other ships currently available from Firelock Games. Thanks for watching.